The stage lights flicker softly as a thin, nervous Filipino teen steps forward, clutching a worn-out microphone with trembling hands. His clothes are simple, but his eyes, they hold stories of struggle, love, and a mother's sacrifice. When Simon Cowell asks, "Why are you here today?" he smiles faintly and whispers, "Because my mom believed I could make the world hear her love, even after she was gone." Seconds later, as his song begins, the crowd falls silent, and by the final note, Simon's eyes glisten with tears. In the heart of Manila's bustling streets lived 16-year-old Eli Mendoza, a quiet, humble boy with a voice that could stop time. His world was small, a cramped apartment, the hum of traffic below, and the soft echo of dreams that seemed far too big for the life he had been given. Every evening, when the city lights flickered on and the air filled with the scent of rain and gasoline, Eli would sit by the corner of the marketplace with his battered guitar, singing to anyone who cared to listen. His songs weren't perfect, but they were honest. They carried stories of longing, of love, of hope that refused to die. People often dropped coins into his case, not out of pity, but because something in his music touched them. But for Eli, the real audience had always been his mother. She would stand quietly at a distance after her night shifts at the hospital, smiling through her exhaustion as she listened to her son sing beneath the streetlights. "Son," she would tell him, "your voice will open doors my hands never could." Those words became his compass, a promise he swore to keep. But fate had other plans. When illness took her away, just months before his 17th birthday, Eli's world shattered. The apartment felt empty, the streets too quiet, the music too quiet, the music too heavy to sing. For weeks, he couldn't pick up his guitar. Then, one evening, he found a note hidden inside his mother's old apron. It simply said, "Don't stop singing. One day, they will hear you." That single line reignited something deep inside him. He returned to the marketplace, guitar in hand, and sang louder than ever before. This time, every note carried her memory. Determined to honor her words, Eli began saving every peso he could. He played at small gatherings, weddings, anywhere that would let him sing. The dream that once felt impossible, performing on America's Got Talent, became his new purpose. When he finally held the one-way ticket to Los Angeles, his hands trembled. It wasn't just paper. It was proof that love, even after loss, could still guide him forward. And as the plane took off, Eli whispered to himself, "This isn't goodbye. Mama, this is your dream. I'm just carrying it now." The stage lights of America's Got Talent were brighter than anything Eli had ever seen. They weren't just lights, they were stars blazing before him, reflecting off the polished floor and the thousand eyes watching from the darkened audience. For a moment, his hands went cold, his breath shallow. He had imagined this day countless times in the cramped corners of his Manila apartment. But the reality was heavier, louder, more terrifying. A stagehand waved him forward. Eli stepped out, clutching his old guitar, the same one his mother had bought secondhand years ago. The cheers of the crowd faded into a hum as his eyes swept across the judges' table. Sofia Vergara smiled warmly. Howie Mandel gave a reassuring nod. Heidi Klum mouthed a soft good luck. But Simon Cowell, with his piercing gaze and unreadable expression, seemed to look right through him. "What's your name?" Simon asked. "Eli Mendoza," he said, his voice trembling. "And where are you from?" "Manila, Philippines." Simon leaned forward slightly. "What made you come all this way to audition?" Eli paused, gripping the guitar's neck a little tighter. "I came because my mom believed I could make the world hear her love, even after she was gone." The room fell silent. Somewhere in the audience, a whisper of empathy passed through. Even Simon's expression softened. "Just for a second. And what will you sing for us?" Simon asked gently. "It's an original song," Eli replied. "It's called For Mama. I wrote it after she passed away." The words hung in the air like a prayer. Eli took a deep breath as the lights dimmed and a single spotlight fell on him. The crowd disappeared. The judges blurred into shadows. All that remained was the soft hum of his guitar as his fingers found the first chord. When he began to sing, his voice quivered, raw, uncertain, but painfully honest. The melody carried his story, a boy's love for the woman who sacrificed everything for his dreams. Each lyric unfolded like a memory, fragile and real. By the second verse, the nerves faded. He wasn't standing on a stage anymore. He was back home, barefoot, singing beneath the Manila night sky, his mother listening from the distance. And as he sang, the world, for a brief moment, listened to it. As Eli's song reached its second verse, the audience leaned forward, drawn into the fragile honesty of his voice. It wasn't perfect, it cracked, trembled, carried pain in every note, but that imperfection made it real. His eyes were closed, his fingers trembling against the strings as though each chord carried a heartbeat of memory. The lyrics spoke of a mother who worked endless nights, who mended uniforms by candlelight, who gave her dreams away so her child could chase his. Each line was a confession, a thank you, and a goodbye all at once. The hall grew so still that the soft hum of his guitar seemed like the only sound in the world. Simon Cowell, who had seen thousands of performances, sat motionless. His usual skeptical expression had faded, replaced by something rare, empathy. His lips parted slightly, his eyes fixed on Eli as though seeing not just a boy singing, but a son grieving, healing, and remembering all at once. As Eli reached the bridge, his voice grew stronger. The emotion that once made him hesitate now gave him power. "Mama, I made it," he sang softly, his voice breaking on the word, Mama. That one word carried every sleepless night, every sacrifice, every whispered prayer she'd ever made. By the final note, no one moved. Then, as the sound faded, the silence broke first with a sob, then a wave of applause that rolled through the entire hall. People rose to their feet. Heidi wiped her eyes. Sophia clutched her chest. Even Howie stood, visibly shaken. But everyone was waiting for Simon. He didn't speak. Instead, he looked down for a moment, then stood up slowly. His hand reached toward the golden buzzer. The moment stretched, a heartbeat suspended in time before he pressed it. A golden storm exploded from the ceiling, filling the stage with light and color. Eli fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face as confetti rained over him. Simon walked to the stage, his expression soft. "You didn't just sing a song," he said quietly, his voice breaking. "You told the world what love sounds like." And in that instant, millions of hearts around the world felt the same thing, the power of love that never dies. Golden confetti drifted through the air like falling stars, landing softly on Eli's shoulders as he knelt on the stage, trembling. For a long moment, he didn't move. His chest rose and fell unevenly, the weight of everything lost, love, hope collapsing into a single breath. The cheers of the audience blurred into distant echoes. All he could hear was his mother's voice in his memory, whispering, "Don't stop singing, son." Simon Cowell, still standing by the judge's table, took a deep breath and walked toward the stage. The crowd quieted, as though the entire room knew something sacred was about to happen. Simon placed a gentle hand on Eli's shoulder. "Eli," he said softly, his tone stripped of the usual sharpness, "your mother would be proud. You didn't just perform, you let us all feel her love tonight." Eli looked up, tears clinging to his lashes. He tried to speak, but his voice cracked. The audience responded with thunderous applause, many wiping their own tears. In the front row, a young woman held up a handmade sign that read, "Sing for her, Eli." It was a small gesture, but it broke something open inside him. He stood, his guitar still clutched tightly in his hands. "I didn't come here to win," he said through the microphone, his voice shaking. "I came because my mom always said our dreams are the only things that never die. I just wanted to make her proud." The audience erupted again this time, not for the spectacle, but for the truth in his words. Simon nodded slowly, his expression warm. "You already have," he replied. Backstage, as the lights dimmed and the cameras faded, Eli stood alone for a moment, staring at his reflection in the mirror. The confetti in his hair glistened under the dressing room bulbs. He whispered, "We did it, Mama." And for just a second, he swore he felt a hand on his shoulder, soft, comforting, familiar. Outside, fans and crew members applauded as he passed. They weren't just clapping for a performance, they were clapping for courage. For love, for the memory of a woman who raised a boy to believe his voice could heal. That night, as Eli stepped into the cool Los Angeles air, he realized something beautiful. His mother's dream wasn't gone, it was alive inside every note he sang. The morning after his audition, Eli woke to a world he no longer recognized. His phone buzzed nonstop, hundreds of notifications, messages, and missed calls. Overnight, his performance had gone viral. The video of his golden buzzer moment was being shared across continents. Headlines called it the audition that brought Simon Cowell to tears. Clips of his trembling voice and the confetti shower flooded every social media platform. But Eli didn't smile at first. He just sat quietly on the edge of his small hotel bed, the guitar resting beside him, the same one his mother had once tuned with care. He opened his messages and saw thousands of strangers writing to him, soldiers, nurses, single parents, all saying his song reminded them of someone they'd loved and lost. That was when it hit him. His mother's dream wasn't just his anymore. It belonged to everyone who had ever loved selflessly. By evening, the producers of America's Got Talent invited him back to the stage to speak about his story. Under the same blinding lights, Eli felt calmer this time. When Simon asked him how life had changed, he smiled faintly and said, "I think my mom just found her way into a few million hearts." The audience laughed softly, but many had tears in their eyes. Weeks later, during the live finals, Eli stood once again on that same stage, no longer as the shy boy from Manila, but as a voice that had touched the world. He sang a new song titled Home Again. It wasn't written for fame or victory. It was a letter to his mother. His voice carried warmth and peace, no longer trembling with pain, but glowing with gratitude. When the final note faded, the crowd erupted. Simon stood first, clapping with a look of genuine pride. "You reminded the world," he said, "that real music doesn't need perfection, it just needs heart." As Eli walked off stage, he looked up at the golden lights, whispering, "We did it, Mama, you're still here." That night, under the quiet hum of the city, He realized the truth: his mother's love had never left him. It had simply changed form, traveling through every lyric, every chord, and every heart that heard his song.